Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to thread this little Singer Ultralock 4-thread overlocker. Now there's quite a few models that are very similar to this. This is the 14u234. There's also 3-thread versions of this machine as well. These are quite a good little machine actually. They are a Japanese made machine, so very good quality. They have the differential feed option, which is always quite handy. So quite a nice little compact machine. And they also have this neat little feature where you can drop down this plate here and you get the free arm here. It's got a nice little free arm and you can get access and the threading just by pulling the free arm cover off. Quite a nice little machine, as I say. As always, we make sure the thread mast is positioned correctly. This is looking from behind the machine, and all you really need to do is make sure these loops here line up directly above the spool pins here, and then just extend the mast right up like so. I'm just using these 1000 meter white cops of thread here, just what I had on hand. So okay, we're still looking from behind here. I've dropped the mast down a little bit so you can see here what I'm doing when I bring these threads up. You can lie the edge, these loops on the edge, you can just lie those threads straight over. The ones in the middle here, there's a couple of ways you can do those. You can just thread from back to front like that, or you can bring the thread in front of this bar here, so to the front, and just go across into the loop there, and then bring the thread out the front like that. And we've got another one of those. This time we come in front of the bar, come this way, down, and the last one just over the loop like that. If we come around the front here, we've got this bar here that we need to thread through with colour coding. So we come in from back to front through this hole here. I'll get you a closer look at this, and then loop the thread over the top of this bar and behind and through another little hole. I'll get you a close look here. So I've done my trick where I double the thread over there, and that just gives you a little bit of stability there. We come in from the back through the front there, and then we pick the thread up. Then you can bring the thread over the top of the bar there, and then pull the tail down through the slot here. So I'm holding the thread and pulling into there, so the thread drops down into that channel. So you should end up with something like that there, where the thread comes through from back to front through the hole, loops over the top, and then back through and down, straight down the channel here, and that should be running nice and freely there. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing with the rest of the threads there. So now just make sure that all 4 threads just pull down into the channels there and pull down into the tensioner discs. When you're doing this, you want to make sure, I've actually got the tensions set all low there. I'll just bring them up to where they should be, roughly. Start off about 4, I would say, for this. But when you're bringing the threads into these tension discs, you want to hold back on the thread at the back here and pull down, and just pull the threads down into between the discs there, and that just makes sure that they're clamped properly and the correct tension's being provided there. So let's do that. We'll do that for all of them. Actually, that one's already there. Just double check, just hold back and give the thread a tug there. This one here, just like that. So now we've got the threads lying in between the tension discs, ready to come down these channels for further threading there. Now of course, being colour coded, it's quite handy for helping with threading. So we've got the sort of a yellowy colour here, orange, green and blue. So you've got yellow for lower looper, orange for upper looper, green for the right needle and blue for the left needle. So what we want to do first of all is start threading the looper threads. You don't want to thread the needles first. Make sure you start with the loopers, and you know, probably the top looper, so this inside right hand thread here on the orange. Now some models may have different colours, so the colours can vary a little, and so let's start with the loopers there. And if you are having a problem with your machine where it's, you know, you've broken the lower looper thread, this one here, and you go to rethread it and you get about 3 stitches into the seam and the threads all snarl up and probably the lower looper thread will break again, that's because the needles are threaded when you're threading the lower looper. I've done a video showing this problem. So if you are having that problem, it might pay to take a look at that video. It just shows you what causes the problem and how to avoid it. Let's have a look down a little bit further here. We've got this front door here, so just pull to the right and swing the door out. And you'll also see there's a handy threading diagram. So we'll start with the orange here. This is the upper looper threading. Just, yeah, a really important tool when threading is a good pair of tweezers. Can't go past a good pair of tweezers. So we start by, you know, this has come down the channel here from the tensioner. So we start just by laying the thread into that first loop. I'll get a close look here. So we start by just laying that thread into the first loop. This is the first orange loop. So we'll come down to the second orange loop there, and the thread just lies in behind there. Bring the thread around like that, and then the next loop is over here. That one there. So just pull the thread from the bottom, lie the thread close to the little guide here, and just pull some tension on it, and it'll flick under this little loop here. And then we're carrying on up to the left slightly here. This is the next loop here, so a similar thing, but we're coming from the right hand side. Just pull the thread in like that, and then the easiest thing to do is turn the machine so that this top looper here comes down into position just for easy access there. And then I quite like to, you know, double the thread over and give it a wee twist there, and that just forms a nice sort of stable piece of thread there to get the thread through the eye of the upper looper. Just thread through the looper like that, and come around the back and pick up the thread. And then once you've got the thread, it's quite a good idea just to bring it up onto the plate and just bring it out under the back of the foot. Press the foot there. So that's the upper looper thread done. Now the lower looper is a little bit more fiddly. We'll just push this little plate down to give us better access to the free arm, and this cover just pulls straight off. It's just clipped on. We'll carry on here with the lower looper thread. Just bring the thread into this first little loop here, and then we come down to this second yellow loop. Just pull in from behind and down again to the third loop here. Again, pull in from behind like that. So we're at this point here, And now if we have a look in here, you'll be able to see this little loop here. That's what I call a pig's tail. We'll have a close look at that. But effectively we're bringing the thread from this side, the right hand side, through to the little pigtail loop there and out the left. So I'll just swing the machine around and get a close look at that, because there's quite a handy method for threading this, and that is to bring the thread through past the pigtail for a start. So I'm just going to reach through and grab with my tweezers here, bring the thread through, and then I'll zoom in on this part here, a little pigtail there. And so once we've got our thread through, we bring the thread into this area here underneath the loop, and then just loop it around like that. Or you could just manually, bring the thread through just by threading straight from the right through to the left like that. Just whatever you find easier. And then if we go just up a little fraction there, you'll see the back of the looper eyelet there, the left hand eyelet, and we can just thread straight through there until you see the thread pop out on the right hand side of the looper. Just like that. And then I actually find it easier just to push the thread through to the other side so that I can pick it up from the right hand side. Swing around here, and there's the thread lying there conveniently, so that when I turn the machine and bring the looper eye to the right here, I've got good access to it, and then it's just a matter of threading front to back like that. Rightio, and just make sure that that's the top looper thread there, isn't sort of fouling things up, and then just again bring it up to the plate and under the foot there. So there we have the two looper threads threaded there. So now we can go ahead and put the little free arm cover on. Just snaps on like that. So now it's just a matter of doing the needle threads. Now we've got the green right hand needle comes down through the slot here after it's come through the tensioner discs, down through the slot under this little loop, that loop there. And then whilst you're doing this, you can also do the left needle. You'll notice on this little loop here, I'll get a close look at that, you'll notice that there's actually two little grooves there, two thread guides. So I would put the left hand needle thread through the rear guide and the right hand needle thread through the front guide. Yeah, I don't actually think it matters which way around they go in this loop here, but I would say probably this thread coming for the right needle, to the front loop is probably the best way to go. And then just bring the threads over the top of this bar here. Just like that. And then we want to bring the threads down through this little slot here. So we've got the right needle just go in behind here and across, and there's the left needle just like that, and then from there we want to come down through these other guides here, these two little pigtail guides. So you can just drop the thread in behind on the inside of the thread guide, and for the right needle just bring the thread to the right and hook it into the pigtail like so, and then the left needle you bring in to the center here and pull to the left like that. So the threads will go down through those guides there nicely like that, and then it's just a matter of threading the needles front to back. Just bring them, actually I quite like to put them under the foot at that stage. Bring the thread down under the presser foot if you can. It's awkward to do from this angle. There we go. And likewise with the left needle thread. Always thread your needles last with an overlocker. As I say, if you break a looper thread, top looper you can thread with no problem at all, but if the bottom looper thread breaks, then there's a couple of wee things you should know when threading with the needles still threaded. Okay, so we should be all set to start chaining off there. So just close the door by bringing the door back up, and it will just pop back into position. And there we go, we're all set to do some chaining. Okay, we should be all set to chain out there. That's what it should look like there. So that's looking good. So there we go, it's all threaded and ready to go. Quite a nice smooth machine, these Singer, these Japanese made Singers, very nice. So I hope you found that helpful, and thank you very much for watching.